You're listening to the Woman Who Chat podcast with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. A podcast where I chat to women in business who share their knowledge and top tips, especially for you. I also share my own tips to help you gain visibility fast so that you appear to be everywhere, even when you're not. I'm delighted to bring this podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast. Woman Who Chat is sponsored by Grow Radio. Grow Radio is an online radio station dedicated to bringing you a different podcast on the hour, every hour. I'm proud that Woman Who Chat is played on Grow Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. and to be a part of their podcasting community. If you want to listen to the station, explore their shows, check out many of the blogs to improve your podcasting skills, or get your podcast onto Grow Radio, head over to growradio.uk today. Welcome to Woman Who Chat. And today I want to talk to you all about organising your time, which is the theme this month in Woman Who. Every month I have a new theme, and time is just one that I've been itching to do for quite a while now, because I know that some of you are struggling with time right now, and I thought this would be really useful to share. And it's something I keep reflecting on as well. So I'm going to be sharing some top tips for organising your time, both in life and business. And to think about it, we all have the same time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We have 7 days a week and 365 days a year. I think time is our most valuable commodity. You can't really buy more time, and it disappears every single day. Some of us have more time ahead than others, and some of us have more commitments, more caring responsibilities. We have different roles. So we're in a situation where you need to maximize the time you've got and make it count. And I'm not just talking about constantly working. I mean, when I look at my 24 hours in the day, I sleep for 8 hours. Where does the rest go? Where does that 16 hours go? Because I don't know, sometimes it just disappears and you think, where has the time gone? And I'm obviously getting older and I've got less time left than a lot of people. And I'm really looking to value my time now. And so I want to make it work for me. I want to maximize every single hour of every single day to make sure not only am I doing what I love, but also getting to enjoy the time I have as well. And I can do that here. I've got a whole host of ways in which I want to do that, and building in that time for fun things too, because they're really important to me, having downtime and having fun. So I think my key to time and organising my time is planning. I'm a huge planner, whether it's something to do with work, and I'm a big advocate for 90-day planning. I've talked about this before. I do everything in 90 days. It coincides with my VAT quarters because it's easy for me. So my first quarter starts on the 1st of April every year. So I'm in quarter 3 at the moment, and I will go into quarter 4 on the 1st of January. Every 3 months is a quarter, and I call it my 90-day planning. And at the start, I'm all enthusiastic, and I'm still enthusiastic at the end of that 90 days because it's short enough so I don't get bored, but it's long enough so I can make a difference and I can see change and I can see improvement. And it's also great. I just love it, the fact that it coincides with spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And I've done loads of things over my lifetime where I've used 90-day planning with huge success when I've got those huge chunky tasks ahead. But everything in my life and my business has a plan, and I mean everything, even my holidays. So I put those in the diary first, and I've planned all my holidays for 2025 already. In fact, I've done a lot of 2025 planning already. I don't leave it until the 1st of January, or I don't sit there on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, and say, right, what am I doing next year? I've got it all mapped out already, because while I'm in my current 90-day plan, I'm already working on the next one. And the next one is all mapped out, but the one after that is bullet pointed as well, and the one after that. So I've got things in my diary going right the way through 2025 already. First, I've got my holidays, and then I've got some key events that I'm attending as well, and making sure that I've got those in the diary ready. I've got a plan. If I'm going to be away from home, I've already got my dog booked in for doggy daycare and home boarding because he's important too. I have to make plan for him too. So the tips I'm going to share with you really are designed to help you streamline your day, whatever that might look like for you, prioritize what really matters to you, and to achieve a better work-life balance. And we all talk about this work-life balance, but it is there. We need to spend time working if we want to run our businesses or we want to achieve our career goals. But we also want that time away from what we're doing, the time away, the fun time, as I call it. So I always start, my tip number one really is to start with really clear goals. And we've all heard of SMART goals, etc. But goals are different for everybody. So have a look at what success looks like for you. Your goals might not be financial or monetary, they might be something completely different. You might have personal goals, you might have professional goals. But you'll have goals, you'll have a destination of where you want to get to within a certain time frame and what that looks like. And I think writing your goals down is really key to this. And even if you don't want to do SMART goals and things like that, just write a list of what goals you want to achieve. I've got a 2025 goals list, and some of those have got monetary values written next to them for things that I want to achieve, but have got a cost attached to them. So, for example, my holidays, they've got a cost attached to them. And other things I want in my life have got a cost attached to them. So I've put the figures down there. It just keeps my mind focused. And I think what it does do by setting clear goals, it avoids you wasting time on doing the wrong things. Because if I keep going back to that goals list, it keeps me focused. It keeps me on that road. I always talk about goals as a road, a map to a destination. Sometimes we take a detour. Now that's okay, but if you're heading to a destination on your sat nav and there's a detour, it still takes you to your destination. In the end, you might have to go a longer route. You might have to stop off on the way at the service station or whatever it is, but you still get to the end destination. What sometimes happens is we set those goals, we take a detour, and we completely deviate and go off on one of those shiny magnet little follies that we sometimes do and think, oh my God, how did I get here? What was I supposed to be doing again? And we take our eye off the ball and we don't achieve those goals because we want to do all those shiny object things straight away. As soon as they land in front of us, there we are saying, oh, that sounds great. I'm going to go and do that. We forget, is that aligned with our goals and where we want to go? And I always break down the big goals into smaller milestones. And I've talked about this before when I did my studying to qualify as a solicitor. It was going to take me 8 years from start to end. There's no way I'd have achieved that if I hadn't broken it down into those smaller milestones. And for me, that was 90-day planning. And that's how I did it. And I just focused on the next 90 days and it made it far more achievable and kept me motivated too. It kept me really motivated right the way through. And I think if you've got those clear goals and you've got them broken down and you know exactly what they are and you revisit them frequently, then your time will become more efficient and better focused for you. So my second tip here is to prioritize your tasks daily. Now, I am a big planner, as I've said. Every Sunday, I sit down and I look at my week ahead. I look at my calendar and then I look at what I'm doing that week. And I put some things in there and I make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. But also at the end of every day or first thing in the morning, usually it's the end of the day, when I decide, right, that's tools down for the day, I look at my task list for the next day. Now, I'm a big list person. I have one big list and everything goes on that list. And then every evening before I finish, I list out my top 3 priorities for the next day and I just put little asterisks by them. And I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, and that those things take me towards my larger goals. Everything I do is aligned with those larger goals and takes me towards them. I always say, will it make the boat go faster? If it doesn't, then it's not on that list. So it helps me to focus on high impact tasks rather than getting lost in all the smaller, less important ones, because come off it. If you look at a big task list, the first thing you do is you look for the easiest ones first. I call them fluffy ones, We'd all love to sit every day doing our fluffy tasks, getting lost in Canva and creating and doing some nice social media posts and all those fluffy things. But are they aligned with where we need to go? They might be. They might be at a certain point in the day, but I do my ugly tasks first, my frogs. I get my frogs out of the way, get those big, ugly, awful tasks that I really procrastinate over, and I get those done first. I choose one big, ugly task, a frog, every morning, and I get that out of the way before anything else. Then I've got the day free to choose from my fluffy list then, and that's something to look forward to as well. So prioritizing my tasks daily really does help keep me on track and keeps me going and keeps me motivated. Time blocking, my third tip. I love time blocking and I schedule specific blocks of time for different tasks. I color code them as well. My diary looks very pretty. So I might block a 90-minute session for something that's one of my ugly tasks. I might block an hour for meetings or for podcast recording. Every day I have certain things blocked out in my diary. I even block my social media time, my follow-up, time for personal stuff, time for walking the dog. But it's flexible. I can move things around, but it's blocked in sessions of time. And I really do take breaks throughout that time as well. I have regular breaks, so I don't back to back everything squished up in my diary, so I've got no time for breaks in between. So every day I've got my social media on there, every day I've got my dog walk on there, and every day I've got my sales and follow-ups on there. But apart from that, my day, it might be flexible or slightly different depending on which day of the week it is, whether I'm recording podcasts or content or all those things. And then I've got free time in there as well. My Fridays are totally free. And I love that because lots of events are on Fridays and it means I can go to an event if I choose to do so. But if not, I've got a day and an extra day to my weekend. Blocking my time really makes the time I have effective and efficient. And it's something that I've been doing for years. And it really does maximize the time I do have, because especially when I had caring responsibilities and I was caring for my mum, she's in a care home now, so I block in the time to go and visit her. But it does make me more effective when I do have less time for some reasons, or when I'm planning big events and things like that. I'm briefly interrupting this podcast to tell you about the Woman Who Live and Awards Lunch on Friday the 9th of May 2025. It's the 10th anniversary of the awards, so it's going to be extra special. It's a morning of personal development, business growth and networking, and an afternoon of connection, inspiration and celebration, all in the beautiful marquee at Coombe Abbey Hotel. With over 200 tickets already sold, it's going to be a fantastic event. If you're looking to get your product or service in front of my audience, I have some great sponsorship and partnership opportunities available, from adverts through to sponsoring the goodie bags and event decor. Interested? Visit womanwho.co.uk/events or get in touch for more information. Now back to the podcast. Tip 4, use the 2-minute rule. I love this one. If a task takes 2 minutes or less, do it right away. Just get rid of it. And some people say, oh no, it's just it interrupts you. But if you're in between your time blocks and you've got a couple of tasks that come up and they just land in your inbox, you go and check your emails. And I think, well, that's only going to be a 2-minute response. I do it. Not social media, because we know that's never a 2-minute thing. So if I'm doing socials, that goes within my time blocking. But if I've got a quick task to do and it only is going to take 2 minutes, I will do it straight away. Sometimes I'll add it to the list and tick it straight off because I could do that. It's my list, but it prevents small tasks from piling up and it clears your mental space for bigger priorities. So sometimes if I go to my email and flag it and I think, oh, I must respond to that later, sometimes I forget to go back, or sometimes it nags at the back of my mind, thinking, I must do that, I must do that, I must do that. If I could have responded to it really quickly, why not do it? And quite often I'll flag things to look at on a Friday when I've got some free time, and I will go back through a lot of those flagged emails, but I don't always get round to it straight away. And some of them can sit in my inbox if they're flagged for a month, especially newsletters. I'm terrible for flagging newsletters, thinking I'll read that when I've got some downtime, and that downtime never comes. So that 2 minute rule could be quite efficient if you do want to, for quick responses, for a bit of email filing, or for small follow-ups that just need a quick yes or no. Tip 5, embrace digital tools, but I would say keep it simple. Don't enroll for every tool that comes along and everything that's supposed to be amazing. A lot of people are using note-taking apps right now, but if you have too many, then you can just get overwhelmed. Task managers, calendars, all those sorts of things. Some people use Google Calendar. I'm a Microsoft person. I've seen people using Notion and Trello. I like to keep things simple. I have got a simple spreadsheet that I use, and I can't live without my Remarkable. But I love using Calendly. I love the automation tools. I love those tools such as MailerLite and Go High Level, the ones that give you the ability to automate, because it's saved me so much time. And once you get your head around the tech, it just blows my mind how much time we spend manually doing things when we can automate the simple things. So it's really worth investigating. Choose what you like. And I've signed up for tools before and then found I don't really like these. Try to use them. I'm not a big fan of Trello. It doesn't work for me. I know a lot of people use it. I much prefer WhatsApp. I love WhatsApp and the tools it's got within there. As I say, I love all my automation tools, but I really have been selective. And some I've bought and then thought, no, I don't need those. So really have a look and really get your head around them and choose what works for you, not what works for somebody else, because what works for them might be brilliant for them, but for you, you might just need something very simple. So, yeah, that's a big tip there. Keep it simple, but do embrace digital tools because they are amazing. And Chat GPT, or Chat as I call him, is my very best buddy. Now, what I would say is I don't copy and paste from Chat. What I've agreed with him is that he's going to give me ideas. I feed a lot into him, so he's getting to know me quite well now. He is a he, by the way, I've decided. And he basically gives me ideas when my brain is dulling a little bit. So I might say, I'm writing this and I need 3 clear points. Give me some ideas, but I've already fed all the information in. And sometimes he'll come through with something brilliant. Other times I say, that's absolutely useless. And he just takes it on the chin. But sometimes, if I want to deliver something and I need just a little bit of inspiration, or I can't think of the words, or I want a great title for something, chat is really useful then. So do have a look and investigate, but we're definitely friends for life, I think. Tip 6, set boundaries and learn to say no. And I said this on, I think it was last week's podcast about no being a full sentence. It's so easy to overcommit. And we've got to learn to say no to things that don't align with our goals or would disrupt our schedule. I was a people pleaser in a former life when I was younger. And many a time I'd have the children dressed, ready to go out to the park, and then somebody would knock the door and we'd literally take our coats off and I'd make them tea. And I would just try and accommodate people as best I could. So protecting your time is really essential for maintaining balance and focus. And I think the big thing is that sometimes we do have to say no. And I said no to something last week, and I really wanted to do it, but it wouldn't make my boat go faster. It wasn't taking me in the direction I should be going in for that particular thing. And I knew it was one of those fluffy things. Oh, that'd be nice. And then I thought, no, it really isn't. It really isn't something I should be attending. And I was kicking myself really because I really wanted to go, but it just wasn't my audience. It wasn't my people. It wasn't something that was anything aligned with anything I'm doing. It was just one of those vanity events, really, that, oh, that looks good. And so I did say no. And I'm glad I did. I saved myself a whole heap of money by not going. But it would have been nice. But as I say, it wasn't for me. And It was just really, it would have been a day off completely, doing something completely different. I would have learned something, but it wasn't useful to me at all. Anyway, we'll forget about that one, but learning to say no, and I am practicing it more. Tip 7, batch similar tasks together. So group similar tasks together and tackle them in one go. So if they're very much, so when I'm recording, I might record podcasts, I actually do a voiceover, my blogs now. Is that the right word, voiceover? So when I do a written blog on my website now, there's actually a button so you can listen to it as well. Because I've realized not everybody can read from websites. So I want to make my website as accessible as possible. So when I'm batch tasking, I might record some adverts for my podcast. I might record a solo episode like this is. I might record some voiceover for my blogs. I might record some other content for some of my courses and training. And I do it all in one go. So I'm sat at my PC with my screens. I've got my microphone. I've got everything in front of me. So I might as well schedule that all together rather than doing something completely different where you've got to get invested in what you're doing and aligned to what you're doing in that particular thing. So yeah, I do set time for, if I'm doing follow-ups, I'll do those all together. If I'm doing emails, I'll do those all together. If I'm scheduling some content, I might do that all together. If I'm doing some automated emails, I'll do those all together. So it just helps me to stay more focused, and it reduces my mental fatigue, and it really does increase my efficiency tenfold. Let's talk about something really important, and for me, it's a non-negotiable. Scheduling in downtime for your well-being and self-care. And I should have had this as tip 1 really, because it really is for me. It's now my major priority. As I said, my holidays go into my diary before anything else. And I think it's really important not to overlook the importance of taking those breaks and relaxing. Now, I'm the worst for relaxation. I very rarely sit down and relax. Even when I used to do some tasks in the house or watch TV, I'd be doing something else at the same time because I felt it was wasted time. But it's really important to make yourself a priority. And if you're not the sort of person to sit on the sofa knitting or whatever, then I know some people love to meditate. I can't do it, but some people do, and that's through choice. I don't do it, and there's lots of reasons which I won't go into today. But I love walking the dog, and I suppose in a way that's my meditation. I don't take my phone. I'm totally in the moment. I love looking at the trees, the leaves, the wildlife, everything. So that for me is my time out. Or just really unplugging, switching off the laptop, doing something, cooking. I love cooking. I don't do it very often, but just chopping vegetable, peeling, chopping, batching stuff together, throwing in spices, tasting, using all my senses. That is downtime for me. That is for my well-being. That makes me eat healthily, and I'll batch cook as well. So I'm doing several meals at a time. So that's more efficient because then I can freeze it and I've got it for the future. So there's all different ways you can look after your well-being and self-care, but actually do things that are efficient as well. So don't forget that. And as I say, that is really a high priority. Tip 9, delegate and outsource where possible. This has been amazing for me this year. 2024 for me was all about being intentional, and it was about delegation. And if I can't do something, or someone can do something better or faster than me because that's their expertise, that's their zone of genius, then I've outsourced it. So it could be hiring someone who freelances to do small tasks, or letting team members, maybe you employ people, or maybe you've got a team that you work with in your business, but letting people handle it. Yes, they may not do it the same as you. They may not do it exactly how you wanted to do it, but they might do it better than you. I always hire people to do things that I can't do myself because I know they'll do it better than me. And it frees up your time for more strategic, high value work. I was a slave when I was a slave to the 6-minute unit, I should say, when I worked as a solicitor. My whole life revolved about 6-minute units. I have no idea where the 6-minute unit came from.
So even if I spent 1 or 2 minutes on a task, I had to charge my clients 6 minutes. If I spent 7 minutes on a task, I charged them what we called 2 units, because it was 2 blocks of 6. It had gone into the second block, and I hated it. I hated it because I didn't feel that I was giving my clients what they should be getting. So somebody was frightened to phone me up because for 2 minutes, because they would be charged 6 minutes. And it just didn't fit, it didn't resonate. And I was selling my time for money. And after a couple of years, when I had my own practice, I decided to do something very different, which I know a lot of solicitors are doing now. And that was to time block and also package my time into products. So people had a fixed fee, they knew exactly what they were buying because I knew how long it was going to take me. So I could think, well, I can sell them this product, it takes me 5 hours to do it, and I gave them a fixed price. And I stopped recording my time. It was wonderful. It was such a release. So I really don't sell my time as much as I did. I might sell a power hour or something like that, or I might do a mentoring hour, but I don't sell my minutes anymore. And I don't do much one-to-one work. I limit that one-to-one work. And most of my mentoring is group mentoring or educating through courses and programs. But I do very little one-to-one. So if people want to work with me one-to-one, which I'm more than happy to do, it's a premium because that I value my time and my expertise. And when you've got decades of expertise, there is a price for that. So do delegate and outsource where possible. And I think my final tip, my tip 10, is to reflect and adjust regularly. Now, when I do my 90-day planning, I have a week in there for reflection. And that's reflection and refining. That's tweaking, that's adjusting. Because if I have a goal, which is going to take me a year to achieve, and I don't have that time during that year for reflecting and adjusting, and I get to the end of the year and I haven't been on track or something hasn't gone quite right and I don't achieve it, I'm going to beat myself up for it. So I find that by constantly reflecting and adjusting, and even setting aside a little time in the week just to reflect on what's gone well and what I can improve. And I can also ditch anything that doesn't work for me. And that doesn't mean to say I'm going to chop and change and come up with new things every single week, because you have to give things time. You have to give things time to embed and tweak them as you go. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Now, I've had my Elevate, or it's my Let's Get Visible Academy. It's called Elevate at the moment. It was called the Woman Who Achieves Academy when I launched it over 4 years ago. And I've reflected and I've adjusted it and I've tweaked it over the years. It's still there. It's still a membership. People still join it. They still get opportunities. And it's lifetime membership. And I did tweak that at one point and it didn't work for me. So I reflected on it and I adjusted it. And now it's a lifetime membership again. I love it. I love being in the group. I love the transformations of people that I work with, the opportunities I create in there for people to speak on my stages. Absolutely, it just blows my mind that I can create those opportunities for others and see them shine, because that's what it's all about. So I think if you reflect and adjust regularly, you can see if your activities align with your goals and see if there's any adjustments needed in your schedule and to stay on track. So when I do my weekly planning and looking at the week ahead, I might tweak a few things. I might think, actually, that doesn't serve me. Why am I doing that? Or I might put in some reflection time just to make sure that I'm staying on track. So I really hope that this podcast has been useful for you. And whatever time you have a look at it, whatever spare time you have, make that a priority and make your time work for you so that you can live your life and your business as full as you can and enjoy it. I'd love to know what you think. Do drop me a message. In the meantime, I'll be back next week with another episode of Woman Who Chat.
Thank you for listening to the Woman Who Chat podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning and top tips. In the meantime, visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your Woman Who journey or even feature on a future podcast. You can also join the Woman Who Achieves community on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. There, you'll get the opportunity to network, find support and make new connections with over 1,000 women in business. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.